Hey, second grade friends. I know this is going to be so hard for you to believe, but this is our last week of videos together. I don't know how to feel about this. I feel like we've become such good friends, and I love seeing your pictures and videos, and that I just feel like you're kind of all my students now, and we've reached the end, and I'm a little bit sad. So we are gonna hit it one more week together for ELA, and I'm really gonna miss you guys at the end. So let's make sure that we work extra hard this last week. Deal? Okay. All right. So this week for ELA, we're going to be talking about the lesson or the moral of a story. We're going to talk about how those two words are similar and what they mean in relation to a story. Today, we're going to look at, we're going to actually watch a little video clip together and discuss lesson and moral, and then apply it to a short text today, and then to an actual story tomorrow. Okay, and then on Wednesday, our grammar skill for this week is going to be going back and hitting those adverbs again, which we learned earlier this year, but that's a tricky one, so we're going to talk about that together again. Thursday, we'll review all of our ELA skills with an emphasis on lesson and moral of the story, with a little bit longer text passage together. And then Friday, we'll finish up that favorite, best part of me writing project. And that's it. We're done. You're going to be a third grader soon. That's nuts, isn't it? So crazy. All right, so we're going to hop right to it. Let me pull up my PowerPoint for a second. So this is your Monday, May 4th. That is not correct. It is not May 4th. This is your Monday, May 11th. Ignore that. That's wrong. Monday, May 11th, ELA guided video lesson, okay? Don't worry about that date. May 11th. You're in the right place, right? Yes. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we're going to be talking about the lesson of the story today. A lesson. Have you ever done something or gone through something, and maybe your mom or dad or someone said, well, I hope you learned your lesson, or lesson learned. I learned my lesson from that experience. When I was little, I always grew up playing soccer. I played soccer my whole life through college and everything. And I had the hardest time keeping up with my shin guards. I don't know what it was about those shin guards, but they always seemed to go missing. And one time, we got all the way to a soccer game, like an hour away. And I got to the field and I unpacked all of my stuff. I was getting all my socks, my cleats and everything on. And I went to go slide my shin guards in, and I realized I only had one. I didn't pack both of them. You got to have one for each shin. I only had one of them. So I was freaking out. I was worried I wasn't going to get to play. And I go over to my mom, and she found my shin guard before we left. It was sitting in one of the rooms somewhere in our house. And she told me that, I hope you've learned your lesson. I was so worried I wasn't going to be able to play. So I learned my lesson that I've got to be responsible and keep up with my stuff if I want to play. So that's a lesson that I'll never forget learning. So we're going to look at this in relation, like I said, to a video story today, and then a text a little bit at the end. So I want you to think, like, what did the author want you to learn? The word moral, you might have heard the moral of the story. Moral and lesson mean the same thing. All right, so you're going to hear those words kind of interchange the next couple of days, but they mean the same thing. Okay, so when we're trying to find the lesson or the moral of the story, here are some questions we can ask ourselves and some of the things we can think through. So we can think, first of all, who is the main character? We talked about that a couple weeks ago about the characters. And what's the character going through? Are things going easy for him or her? Are things kind of difficult? Is there an obstacle they're trying to overcome? Are there certain phrases or certain words that you hear repeated throughout the story? And then what part makes you think? Like, what sticks out to you? What do you learn from it? I know a lot of us read a book earlier this year called Salt in His Shoes, which if you have not read that book, you should go read it today. It is such a good book about Michael Jordan growing up and how he wasn't as tall as he wanted to be. He had to work really hard to become good at basketball. He didn't think he was ever going to be good enough. So we can think, what did that character go through? He had to go through working really hard, perseverance, never giving up. And those are some different phrases that we heard throughout that book. So those parts of the story made us think, and we learned from that book that if you want to achieve greatness, you have to work really hard and never give up, even when it gets hard. So that would be the lesson or the moral of that story. I'm sure you could stop and think about really a lot of books. Any book you've read recently that was kind of fiction with those characters, and even nonfiction with some biographies and people who have gone through things. What did the character go through? What did you learn from it? What did the author want you to learn? What lesson could we learn from that? So like I said, we're going to hop over to a video in just a second. We're going to watch it. You might have seen it already, but it's called Carrot Crazy. And we're going to hop on that, and I'm going to watch it. It's about 3.5 minutes long. There's sound with it, but there's no talking. So I'm actually going to keep my video up over here, and we're going to kind of talk through some of the things we see together so that we can maybe figure out the lesson. And then I have a couple questions on here before we do a little text practice and you do your own practice, okay? So I'm going to stop that share, pop it up. All right, so this is called Carrot Crazy. All right, so let's watch this together. All right, I've got my setting here. It looks like we're outside somewhere. Beautiful day. Oh, and there's a bunny. This little carrot juice, carrot coffee mug. All right, uh-oh, I heard a noise. It scared him. Ooh. Here's another character on the scene. All right, so we've got our bunny and we've got this man, okay? Let's turn it down a little bit so you can hear me. All right. So the man looks like he might be setting up some sort of, oh, there's another guy. Uh-oh. Oh, so they're both setting up traps. I wonder what they're trying to catch. That guy, that's the bunny. So he's got kind of a simple trap that he's putting a carrot under. The other guy's trap looked a little more intense, didn't it? Ooh, bunnies love carrots. Oh, he reached down in the ground and got a carrot. That carrot's bigger. All right, so he's got a big carrot on his little more advanced trap, and he's got a little carrot on his, uh-oh. Oh, now he's got a lot of carrots. Oh, Rabbit's getting excited about this. Oh, what do you think's in his truck? A truckload of carrots. Ooh, a little more excited about that. Oh, well, he all of a sudden has an oven and baked a carrot cake. Ooh. So the bunny's going back and forth deciding which one he wants to go to. They're trying to outdo each other, aren't they? He's flying in something. He pressed a button. Uh-oh. It's a big helicopter. I wonder what it's carrying. It's the mother load of carrots. That is the biggest carrot I think I've ever seen. Timber. Boom. So they're both of the hunters are trying to outdo each other to catch this rabbit, right? Oh, looks like Olaf. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Bringing out the big weapons. Wonder where the rabbit is. We haven't seen the rabbit in a minute, have we? Both of the hunters are so focused on each other, what they're doing. I wonder if they kind of forgot about their purpose. Did you guys see that? I'm going to rewind it just a couple seconds to make sure you saw it. So the rabbit's here. The hunters are kind of focused on each other. They've kind of lost sight of what they're there for. And a bird. Cameron got the bunny. That reminds me a little bit of Paper Bag Princess, where the ending is not what you think it's going to be, is it? That was so funny. All right, so we're going to hop back over to the PowerPoint here. So let's just talk about what we saw. So we've got these two hunters. They're coming out, and it looks like they're trying to hunt this rabbit, right? They've got traps. They've got weapons. They've got all these big carrots, little carrots, carrot cakes, carrot bazookas, all these carrots that they're trying to lure in to catch the rabbit. So their intention was to try to catch the rabbit, right? All right, so let's look at these couple of questions together. All right, so first question I want to ask you is, what did the main characters, really, more than one, spend a majority of the video doing? Now, if you'd like, you can just keep playing and listen on, and we'll discuss it like we're together. But if you'd rather, you could press pause on this video and just chat with someone in the room with you. Okay, so the main characters were probably the two hunters, and they were both after that rabbit, right? And they spent a majority of the video going back and forth, trying to outdo each other, right? They one tried to have a carrot bigger than the other one, then he had a cake, and then he had to have something bigger, then he had a weapon, and then the other one had to have something even bigger. And they kind of lost their focus, right? They were busy trying to outdo each other to catch this rabbit that they got distracted from what they were supposed to be focusing on, which was catching the rabbit, right? Okay, so how did that work out for them when they were both trying to outdo each other, one right after the other? How did that work out? Did either one of them end up achieving their goal of catching the rabbit? Nope. Who achieved their goal of catching the rabbit? The hawk, the big bird that came and swooped down, right? So did that work out really well for them, going back and forth and trying to outdo each other with the different tricks and traps and everything? No, that didn't work out very well, did it? Okay, so based on what the characters did the whole time, how that worked out for them in that video, what do you guys think that the author is trying to teach us? What do you think the lesson is that we could learn? And it can always be more than one thing, too. There doesn't have to be just one lesson for each story. There can be more than one. I really wish we were together and I could hear your ideas right now. So let's think, what is the lesson? What is the author trying to teach us? Some of the things that I thought of when I was watching it was don't get distracted from your goal. Stay focused on your goal that you're trying to achieve. Don't let anyone distract you or take your attention off from what you're trying to achieve. It's not all, another lesson maybe the author could be trying to teach us is it's not the person with the biggest and best things, but maybe just the smartest or the craftiest is the one who achieves their goal. Because that bird didn't have any carrots. The bird didn't have any weapons or cool traps or cakes or anything. He was just focused and smart and didn't let anything get in his way. Swooped down and got his lunch, right? So there are a lot of things the author could be trying to teach us through this story, and you might come up with a bunch of other ones too, which is great. All right, next, I want us to look at this little paragraph together, and I've got 4 lessons down here, 4 morals down here at the bottom, and we're going to pick which one matches this paragraph up here. This looks exactly like your independent activity you're going to do today. You've got 3 just like this. So that's why I kind of wanted to model this and do this with you so that when you get to your independent activity, you'll have no problems. Okay. All right. So it says Holden really wanted to buy a new video game. So he decided he was going to save his allowance until he had enough money. Another reason I chose this paragraph is because the book we're going to read tomorrow is about saving your money and being smart with your allowance. So I kind of wanted to give you a little introduction to that. After 2 weeks of allowance, he only had to wait 1 more week until he had enough money. He got his next allowance on Sunday. It was Saturday, and Holden was at Derek's birthday party at the roller skating rink. Everyone was buying sodas and ice cream cones, and Holden was the only one who didn't buy one. He really wanted that video game, but he didn't want to be the only one left out. He took his saved allowance out of his pocket and bought some ice cream and soda. The next day, when his mom handed him his allowance, he felt sad. He wouldn't have enough money to buy his video game now. He should have saved his money. So let's look at these 4 different morals or lessons here at the bottom and see which one do you think the author was trying to help us to learn. So who was our main character? Holden. What happened to Holden? What was he going through this story? Throughout this story, it sounds like he was trying to save his money. He's trying to save his allowance because he really wanted to buy a new video game. So he goes through weeks and weeks and weeks of earning his allowance, saving his money, and then all of a sudden he gets to this birthday party and he's so worried about being left out that he spends some of his money on ice cream and soda. And then at the end, he doesn't have enough for his game because he didn't save it all like he should have. So it was the author trying to teach us the first box, which says saving your money helps you get what you want. Listen to your friends. Patience pays off, or actions speak louder than words. So there's kind of two that I think could be maybes, and then I think there's two that we can probably eliminate. I'm going to get my little pen up here if I can, and I'm going to cross out the two that I don't really think apply here, and then we'll put question marks next to the two that we think might work. I don't think listen to your friends would be what the author wanted us to learn here, because that was kind of Holden's problem. Because he listened to his friends, because he gave in to not wanting to be left out, he spent his money and couldn't get his video game. I also don't think actions speak louder than words fits this one either. Action speaks louder than words means that like what you do is more important than what you say you're going to do. And it's kind of the opposite here. He said he was going to save his money. He was going to work hard. But then his actions showed that that was not true. So let's go narrow it down to the first two. So the first one says saving your money helps you get what you want. Yeah, I do think that saving your money helps you get what you want. This really applies to this story because Holden, the boy, was trying to save his money. He was not able to get what he wanted because he spent his money and because he didn't save his money and spent his money, he wasn't able to get what he wanted. So I definitely think the author could be trying to teach us that saving our money helps us get what we want. Because this story was specifically about money, right? Now, this other one I don't think is necessarily wrong. It says patience pays off. Yeah, I absolutely think that could apply here too. And I really honestly think that both of these answers could be right. Patience pays off. Because if he had been a little more patient and not spent his money at the skating rink, he would have had enough to get his video game at the end. He was really patient for 3 weeks. He had his first 2 weeks of his allowance. He had that last week of his allowance. He was being really patient, but because he spent that money, his patience actually didn't pay off because he didn't have enough patience to save his money up. So while I think patience pays off does apply to this story, I do think that saving your money helps you get what you want applies to the story just a little bit more. So if I were taking this for a grade, I probably wouldn't count off patience pays off as wrong, but I think that saving your money helps you get what you want applies to the story a little bit more, because the author wanted us to learn that by saving our money and not spending it on little things that don't really matter as much, that we could get what we want. Like he could have gotten his game there at the end. All right, so you guys, let me get this on. Sorry about that. Clear all drawings. All right, so what we're going to do now is you're going to hop on over to Seesaw, and you've got 3 stories just like this one, where all you're going to do is read the little paragraph, read the 4 different lessons or morals. Oh, Aspen is very excited about your activity. Read the 4 little lessons or morals at the bottom and just take your finger with your pen and just circle the one that you think is correct. Okay, there's 3 of them. See how it says 1 of 3, so you're going to have to swipe to get to all 3 of them today. Okay, great job, guys. I hope you have learned a little bit about the lesson or the moral of the story. And maybe if you read a book on Epic or Mayan or at your house today, maybe you can think about what the lesson or the moral is or what the author's trying to teach you in the text. Okay, all right, good luck on your activity, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Okay, bye, guys.